All right, welcome back in here to Alive and Now from Fox. I'm Andy Mack, and of course, we're talking about the Cowboys and the soap opera that is that football organization. Well, we learned some news very recently about the owner, Jerry Jones, in the spotlight, as we were learning courtesy of kind of their show on television, talking about the owner, Jerry Jones, revealed he overcame stage 4 cancer. This from the Dallas Morning News, and we're learning revelations about this. We heard from the head coach also in his battle with cancer. So let's get more on this. Be joined right now by Fox 4's Alex Boyer on the ground in Cowboys country. Alex, what can you tell us? What more can you tell us about Jerry Jones and him overcoming this?
Hey, Andy, you know, so pretty incredible, right, that he was able to keep this under wraps considering he is such a public figure for so long of a time. Now, he just spoke with the media a short time ago at training camp. You're going to hear from him momentarily, but I can tell you that this all came to light after a Dallas Morning News reporter watched that docuseries on Netflix on the Dallas Cowboys, and in it, very casually, Jerry Jones mentioned that he had overcome cancer. The reporter ended up following up and then got the entire scoop, and then that's when we learned that he had overcome stage 4 melanoma cancer, thanks in large part to immunotherapy. Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones is making headlines again, this time for a health scare he managed to shield from public view.
Melanoma is a common skin cancer we see. It's actually growing in numbers.
Dr. Walton Taylor is a general surgeon not involved in Jones's medical care. According to the Dallas Morning News, Jones revealed he fought stage 4 melanoma for a decade. The 82-year-old says he was diagnosed in June 2010 and began treatment at MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston.
And it's one that can have really deadly effects on patients.
And that, tragically, has been highlighted in recent news. Earlier this month, North Texas native Kelly Clarkson's ex-husband, Brandon Blackstock, died at the age of 48 after battling melanoma for 3 years. Jerry Jones had a much more positive prognosis with help from specialized treatment. He said over the span of a decade, he had 2 lung surgeries and 2 lymph node surgeries.
Normally, oftentimes, we'll go in and excise tumors and then remove some lymph nodes. We call them sentinel lymph nodes, the ones where the tumor would drain to first to see if there's cancer in them. And if we find there's a substantial amount of disease, we go back and remove all of the lymph nodes in that area.
Jones went into trials for the therapy called Programmed Death Protein 1, or PD-1, and now he says he has no tumors.
It is one of the more deadlier skin cancers that exists.
Dr. Daniel Wang is an oncologist also not involved in Jones's case. Wang says immunotherapy like PD-1 has become a game changer in how doctors are able to successfully treat aggressive cancers like stage 4 melanoma.
With these discoveries and melanoma sort of being the poster child for immunotherapy, we've discovered how well they work in these settings, and now it's considered the standard of care for patients with stage 4 melanoma.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting, Andy, talking to Dr. Wang there, who you just heard from. He said, you know, it wasn't even 20 years ago that much of the conversation around treatment was centered around chemotherapy. Now it is turning more and more to this immunotherapy, these drugs which are showing us so much promise and delivering great results, as we've seen with Jerry Jones apparently overcoming stage 4 melanoma. I can tell you, in listening to Jerry Jones speak in that media gaggle just a short time ago at training camp, he did tell reporters that one of the side effects that he personally experienced as a result of that immunotherapy was it did eat away at his bones, according to him. So he did say that he had to have both hips replaced, but obviously he said that paled in comparison to what he was dealing with, having stage 4 skin cancer, melanoma, which is pretty bad. That of course was all worth it, and he's really thankful to the treatment of the doctors that he had in Houston.
Yeah, it's pretty miraculous to hear this, the experimental treatment that was able to ultimately save his life pushing on. And of course, we know Jerry Jones, not afraid of the spotlight, enjoys kind of the soap opera atmosphere of the NFL, always relevant, always in the news. Have you ever been a part of a scrum with Jerry Jones? Have you ever had the pleasure of asking him a question?
You know, it's funny you asked that, Andy. I'm coming up on 10 years here at Fox in Dallas, and it was one of my very first stories, having to squeeze to the front of the crowd there of reporters, of course, as you mentioned, because he does hold court in a sense, and get my microphone up there. I forget what the story was, but of course, I was up there with my microphone in hand, and he did turn to me, and I was able to ask that question. And I remember that it seemed to be a pretty big get, considering all of the people yelling around me trying to ask a question as well.
That's so very good. And no matter what question you asked, you always got a great answer. Alex, before I let you go, and I know you're not in Oxnard where training camp is going on, but we were hearing, courtesy Calvin Watkins, the Dallas Morning News, that Brian Schottenheimer, the head coach, talking about Jerry Jones, that he had cancer, just tells you a lot about your health, how important it is, doesn't discriminate against anybody. And mine was certainly less serious. When he had 28 years old, he was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. Can you tell me any more about that? And Schottenheimer also mentioned the fact that revealing this will help potentially more people get checked. Can you speak to that at all?
I can't, unfortunately. You know, we were monitoring the clips that were coming into the newsroom just shy of coming on the 5 o'clock news here Central Time, and really focus on what Jerry Jones had been saying. But I did start seeing those tweets from the head coach weighing in as well. So it'll be interesting to see and hear more about what he has to say.
All right, very good, Alex. I just wanted to get your opinion. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time here on Live Now from Fox.
Sure thing, Andy.
All right, thank you so much. All right, great conversation as always. And as you heard there from Alex Boyer saying, Jerry Jones did speak with the media just a little bit ago, wrapping up that training camp portion in Oxnard as they go west for training camp, the preseason kind of slate. It's something the Cowboys have always done. Jerry Jones, familiar with standing in the spotlight, taking questions, and we're learning more as he overcame that battle with cancer. Of course, it was stage 4. He used an experimental treatment to have that, remove those tumors, cure those tumors. Let's take you out to some of these comments from just a little bit earlier here on Live Now from Fox. And I imagine quite a few questions about the Cowboys season, their kind of roster and whatnot, but also about this revelation. Let's listen in.
He said, man, that going for 2, that just adds pressure. And I don't want to sound condescending, but I said, look, everybody on that TV, everybody up in those stands, they're dealing with things. They're dealing with pressure. We all have pressure. Let's all be thankful we're here to get to deal with it.
Jerry, how scary did it get for you?
Well, you don't like to think about your mortality, but I was so fortunate to have some great people that sent me in the right direction. I got to be a part of a trial that was propitious. It really worked. It's called PD1, and it really, really, really worked. It ate my hips up. I had to have both hips replaced because it was rough on your bones. But other than that, I'm so proud to get to be sitting here with you guys and be getting to do what we do.
How did it change?
But it was in the back of your mind.
How did it change any perspective for you on life in general?
No, I have, I got involved with the Cowboys because, unlike it seems sometimes, seriously, it was a poor investment. I was with the Cowboys because I wanted the job of running the Cowboys. And not necessarily for my children, not necessarily for anybody. I wanted that job. And that's the way it's been. And focus, and when you're passionate and get to totally engulfed in what you're doing, that helps you deal with some of the other issues we deal with in life.
Jerry, not the hard pivot topics here, but what have you made of Mike Parsons' participation during his career?
Again, I'm glad he's been here. It's important. It's important for the teammates, but it's important for him to pick up all of the coaching and the nuances. Osmosis is a very big thing, and he's been here and been a part of that.
Now that you had it home, do you think that talks will pick up a little bit with him?
I don't know that necessarily talks will, but we've got a game coming, and he's under contract.
Who have you liked in camp so far? Who have you liked in camp so far?
Well, I've been real pleased with Thomas, and he's gotten some real opportunity here. And we certainly need that showing up on his part. I like several of the young guys. I just overall like the tempo with the camp. Give Brian Schottenheimer his due there to have that. And I'm looking forward to Saturday night. They're back in Dallas. And so, but I like what we've seen so far. And on balance, I don't even want to mention it, but we've come out here in pretty good shape with our injury, which is always a focal point.
Be it discipline or physicality, what stood out to you most in the first, Schottenheimer training camp?
Well, I like the physicality, the enthusiasm. Probably the last play we just saw, that number 54 taking that thing to the house and outrunning everybody, probably is a great way to have ended this practice and certainly of his camp. Sam is not fragile in terms of mental, but as Michael Irvin said, when he had an injury that flashed before him the prospects of not playing again, Michael said it made his career to appreciate what he might miss. I think Sam has had that same realization, and so he's come back. He's had an outstanding training camp. And I would think somebody might have set that up for him to run the length of the field with that interception. But I think one of the players said might have been Dak, oh, no, anybody but Sam, because he's showing leadership out here as well.
Is it concerning you, Jerry, as you go leave here and know that Philadelphia is a few weeks away?
Well, the world champ, you couldn't start her off any more challenging than that. Be at their home, all of it's there, and Philadelphia's always all that we can possibly handle when we go up there. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a good way to start it out, and we'll get a real read on not necessarily the season, how the season's going to go, but it'll be a real good, solid test on how much progress we made in training camp. But again, not to use a cliche, but it's one of 17, and but it's counts in every way there is. Playing the world champion counts in the perception, and of course counts in the division. It starts right off with all the marbles.
Do you foresee any talent that's not on the roster right now making a 53?
Again, I don't at all. But I wouldn't close the door.
As you wait for corners to get healthy, do you guys need to make an addition in the cornerback room?
It's probably hard to make an addition at this point in training camp, but certainly the numbers as we start the season are one that we've got a very close eye on. But the other part of that is we've got some extraordinary help on the way for traditionally how you go in short into a position into a season with that position. So we do have, it doesn't mean we won't try, but we do have good help on the way. And that's the encouraging.
Do you feel like Diggs is that help on the way?
Yes. I think Diggs is hopefully not only, as it turns out, the initial game or games, but certainly for the season. Counting on Diggs to really be a player for us.
Is there a deadline to know whether Micah Parsons plans to play in Week 1 or not?
No, not at all. You don't have deadlines when you're playing under a contract.
What's preventing you guys from talking right now?
Again, really nothing.
So why don't you talk?
Again, nothing would be that, and we might or might not talk. And the rest of that gets in what we do every day.
Even though he is under contract, are you guys comfortable if you don't get a deal done that he'll be ready to go for the Phillies?
Well, again, all you got to go on are contracts. And we are negotiating for a contract. Well, when you do a contract, you would hope that after a negotiation, that's what both the team and the player look to see what our obligations are. And so I have a lot of respect for a contract.
All right, just listening in there, Jerry Jones wrapping up that press conference talking about Micah Parsons as he is at camp but not practicing at this point, wanting that new major deal. Obviously, some of the stats the last several years potentially could kind of dictate what he gets in terms of the number for that contract upcoming. All right, but we're also talking about Jerry Jones revealing that he has overcome a stage 4 cancer with a experimental treatment. And I just want to put up some posts from Dallas reporters, including Sam Gannon there with Fox 4, Dallas Cowboys head coach, the new head coach, Brian Schottenheimer, telling reporters today that he was actually diagnosed with thyroid cancer when he was 28, saying, quote, "I was worried that I would lose my ability to speak because of my love for coaching. I was one of the lucky ones." Another reporter there for the Dallas Morning News there, Joel Hoyt, says Schottenheimer talked about how at 28 he was diagnosed with that form of cancer, talking about Jerry overcoming cancer, saying, quote, "I'm glad Jerry shared it because I think it gives people hope." And it was just a little snippet of a documentary on a streaming platform that a Dallas Morning News reporter kind of took from that, asked further questions, and learned more about this as he beat stage 4 cancer. Of course, had to undergo some treatment in Houston, but back there and obviously always the showman for the Dallas Cowboys.